So you like metal? I got some guitars to show you. Let's take a look. Hello and welcome back everybody to the series I'm making, the Chronicle of a Serial Guitar Buyer, me. And this is the episode number 2, aptly named Metal AF. To be politically correct, I'm trying to hold back the profanity. All right, so last episode we took a look at the all the shredder guitars in my collection, which I'll link right here. If you have not checked that out, please do go check it out. And as I was editing that particular episode, I noticed how much I just talk. Jesus Christ. So that video got a little bit long. I'll try to make this one a little bit shorter. All right, so we are going to, again, start from the top, way over there, and then we'll just work our way back. I don't know if the guitar itself is in the camera angle. I actually can't see. But way over there at the top is the trans blood finish of Solar 2.6. It's the Solar guitar by Ola Englund of YouTube fame, who I respect a lot. Overall, just all around nice, fun guy. I had pleasure of meeting him a couple of times. That guitar street price right around $650, $600, something like that. Great guitar, just goes to show you again how far along Indonesian companies have come along. Spectacular guitar. When you talk about bang for the buck, I mean, you really can't beat that guitar. If you've been teetering on whether to get a Solar or not, let me give you a good advice. Run and order one right away. That is a just great guitar. Okay, and then one right next to it is actually Solar by Washburn. So this is this guitar is from when Ola had his endorsement deal with Washburn, and that guitar was made during that time period. So basically it retains all the shape and everything. Only difference to that one is that it has an Evertune bridge, which freaked me out actually when I first got that guitar, because I was messing around with it and I couldn't, when I was like bending up or down, the pitch was not changing on the guitar. So that freaked me out a little bit. But since then I've learned how to work with the Evertune bridge so that you could do the pitch shift and all that good stuff. So once it's in tune, each individual saddle has this robotic mechanical situation, wizardry going on underneath the bridge, where basically the guitar won't go out of tune, so which is just awesome. And so basically the playability on both Solars are about the same as you can expect. Okay, so moving right along, one over to it is with buzzsaw graphic on top is the Wild Audio Barbarian in the reddish finish, right? With the buzzkill graphic on top over the quilted maple top. So, you know, obviously that guitar shape inspired by Gibson SG, as Zakk is no longer with Gibson, with the Zakk set from EMG on board. When you look at that guitar, you know, obviously as you can tell, Triple G does not handle no Rickenbacker and no jazz guitars. I don't have those. I don't, you know. So especially from my collection, these represent, you know, quote unquote, really metal. And, you know, you look at that guitar and you know that guitar is meant for just one thing and one thing only. So that's, it's very heavy, big, thick neck. but I like the way it's built. It's really, I was pleasantly surprised. When I checked them out at the NAMM show on the first year when they were hung at the Schacter booth, I wasn't quite sure, but it's a phenomenal guitar. If you, again, and that's a Korean build, so it's gonna be right around 900-ish or 1,000-ish, somewhere around there. Come around holiday time, you can use coupon to get it a little bit cheaper. And again, if you're a Zakk fan and you wanna, channel that vibe, that's the one. That's one of the ones you can get. All right, moving right along. That's Ibanez RG R6V2A AHB, something like that. Ibanez really needs to come up with a better naming scheme that people can grab onto. So very ominous looking black satin finish with the white DiMarzio pickups, which accentuate, and it has floating trem from Ibanez. The neck profile on that is stupid. I love Ibanez necks. Just all satin, great guitar. With the dot inlays, make it a little bit more classic looking, prestige. So, with the top of the line, Japanese factory quality. So I don't know if that's still made in Fujigen factory when you buy prestige Ibanez. Anyhow, but that's where that's from, and that's one of the favorite guitars. As a matter of fact, I haven't even taken the tags off, but it sounds killer, it plays killer, can't go wrong with it. One next to it is, what is the name of that guitar? That's a XIR something like that. So very similar in appearance. So it's got black satin with the white body binding. No inlay markers on that one though, and then it has a EMG 8185, 60? I forget now, but it's definitely 81 on the bridge, and it has a hardtail. Again, it does have a slightly different neck profile than the RGR right next to it, but playability great. Just it has the volume knob and kill switch. Size of that guitar is really perfect. It's not big, it's not small, it's really comfortable when you hold on to it and play. And I'm a fan of a regular headstock. I don't really care for the reverse headstock. So that, again, very metal. And then one right next to it right here, which looks like a dinner table or my front door in my house. Body, 3-piece body, and then the theme of that carries over to the headstock, and again, very understated in a sense that there is no inlay markers, and it has a contoured body unlike the other two Ibanez. So that's Iron Label series guitar, but that has a slightly different shape, and all the contouring and everything really comfortable to play. Only issue with that guitar so far, I actually need to work on it a little bit, is fret wires stick out a bit, which is a little bit of a turn off. It's actually sticking out far enough where it'll actually eat away on my fingertips. Great guitar. Okay, one right next to it. I hope it ages well as under my ownership, and just a brutal piece of kit. That's a Wild Audio Odin Grail. So obviously the inspiration comes from the Gibson Les Paul that Zakk is infamous with, and unlike the Les Paul layout, it has 2 volumes, 1 neck, 1 bridge pickup, and then 1 master tone. And it has a little bit of a tail on the bottom side of the body, which I think is really cool looking. What I didn't initially like, and I'm still trying to come to grip with, is that lower horn being super wavy. Don't really care for that, but it is what it is. It's got the bullseye pattern that guitar is very famous for. And Zakk said, again, ebony fretboard, huge chunky inlay markers that just basically take over the entire fret area. And then gold pointed hardware, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that's okay. I will learn to deal with it. Again, very heavy, super chunky neck, but the satin back of the neck being satin Very nicely done, really tasteful. Okay, so we're now gonna go this way. By the way, all the Explorers are currently sitting on the couch. So once I go all the way to the end, we'll pause real quick and get the Explorers on the display so that you guys can take a look. All right, so on the bottom row, this is ESP Eclipse 500. I think ESP may have stopped producing the 500 series, so I think it goes from 200, 400, then 600, and then 1,000, right? So 500, this was made in Korea, originally had EMG 81 and either 60 or 85, again I forget, but I ripped those out and I printed the 5766 set in there, which I dig a lot more because I just feel like that's 5766 combo is just a bit more dynamic and just slightly less sterile, and doesn't mean that 8160 or 8185 combo is bad. They excel in the application that they are designed for. Super good headroom, which is what the active pickup set's for. So this guitar, I mean, because it's an Eclipse model, so the body's not as thick as a traditional Eclipse or the Les Paul, and so it's a little bit lighter. So if you're gigging, I think it's a great fit, and just brutal in terms of you know, tone and playability. This is just a straight up metal machine. Another favorite guitar of mine. Every now and then I do fall out of favor with a certain guitar, then, you know, I do put those out on sale. But so all the ones that are in my current collection, I have some kind of an attachment or something that I really like. So you're gonna hear that a lot. I'm not here to show you something and go, I really don't like this guitar, because I don't own such a thing. All right, so here we go, on to the next. That's it, I got that secondhand used, so that's a Dean VMNT, what's Angel Wing? There's a specific name for that. Brutal piece of guitar. Has a traditional kind of non-traditional Dean neck profile, and whatever this inlay marker is called, it's got that. And actually, after getting this guitar, I sold my just a straight up all black VMNT, exactly same guitar, just with just solid black finish. So I sold that because it's a duplicate in my collection. This guitar comes with the Seymour Duncan Livewire, which is probably my favorite pickup set for metal. Maybe slightly unwieldy when you go up a register, but you know, when you want that just sharp attack, penetrating, just metal riffing, that's the one to go for. And you know, it looks the part, just awesome guitar. And another good bang for the buck value proposition guitar. I love that guitar. And then this right here, once I looked at it at a BC Rich booth at a NAMM show several years back, I looked at it and I said, I must have that guitar. So shortly after coming back from the NAMM show, I ordered one. So that's BC Rich Drako Ghost Flame. So it has a super overly sculpted body. There's a curve, there's carving, there's all kinds of things going on in the body. In the old days, I'm sure that must have been a bitch to produce, because it had to be probably done by hand, but now it's a, you know, CNC machine. So you throw the carving pattern program on the CNC machine and the machine will just cut everything out to that shape. So it's probably not that big of a deal. But that guitar, just look at it. I mean, come on. And it's got the traditional BC Rich headstock, and I like that headstock over the ball sack headstock. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. It's got a double dip on the top of the little cutout of the headstock there, which and about this guitar, the neck profile is a little thicker than I like, does not have a neck pickup, and just it has the volume. So it's not the most versatile guitar because of, you know, obviously you're lacking the neck pickup or the tone control. You want just a straight up a wanking, and you want something that you strap on the stage and you want to look cool, and you don't want something that everybody else is strapping. That's a looker. Dig it. They also did make this in just a straight black, which is what's called the Onyx Black. That might have come with a single coil in the neck position. I forget. It's quite old, so I don't remember. All right, then on to one of my very, very favorite in my collection. That's Jackson Demolition signature guitar of a Phil Demmel of Machine Head. So I'm an unapologetic just Machine Head fan, although I have to qualify that by saying I am a huge fan of the blackening era onto the Locust kind of dead era. So Halo, Locust, that's the fan. That's the, you know, I'm a fan of that era. Not necessarily a huge fan of the rap metal and the cornrow era. That's so what that guitar represents to me. You know, I'm a huge fan of Machine Head and obviously Phil Demmel, like I said, you know, Rothland equally as much. But I'm also, if you ask me who my very favorite guitar player ever was, I would not say Jimmy Page, no Eddie Van Halen, no Yngwie, none of that. My very favorite guitar player of all time is Randy Rhoads. So when Jackson came out with that finish for Phil Demmel, the polka dot, the infamous polka dot finish, although the original Randy Rhoads polka dot, I think that's Kurt Sandoval guitar, so the, you know, it doesn't look like that. But the paint theme is, the spirit of that guitar is carried over the polka dot finish, which they actually have that finish all the way in the back of the neck as well. So it just carried all the way through. EMG active, sorry, EMG active pickup set, the Floyd, master volume, master tone. Oh, and then the bevel cut at the end. It's just an awesome looking guitar, and it sounds a hella nasty too. Just dig that guitar. You know, Jackson made a custom one for Phil Demmel that's actually also Michael Schenker themed. So it's got the black and white cut right down the middle. God, I wish they would make that available to consumers. I would run and buy that thing right away. But it is what it is. They don't make it. All right, so the one right next to it is in the very same spirit of a Phil Demmel and Machine Head. So that is a PDX. So Phil Demmel X series. Great guitar, great value for the money. I don't know if there's a whole lot of difference in terms of craftsmanship from that guitar to that. I did strip out the stock pickups for that guitar though and replace it with the bare knuckle. And I have a actually separate video of Luthier, a friend of mine, that's doing the pickup swap of that guitar. It's also black and silver, which is very much Oakland Raiders theme. And by the way, Phil Demmel is a diehard Raider fan, so I'm sure that has something to do with the color schematic of that guitar. And you know, the bottom bevel cut, it looks like either that V is giving a birth to another little v, or it's being penetrated by another V. You know, I don't know, but I really dig that a lot. Okay, so going that direction, one over, that's just a straight up Gibson Flying V in whatever finish they call that, so it's not the shiny finish. All the usual stop tail to pneumatic bridge, and the you know, the pickguard that is famous for the Flying V shape. That's a really great feeling guitar when you have it on, and the raw finish on the neck is really smooth, and the stock pickups in that guitar just really guttery and just super throaty, and that guitar is a bully in the schoolyard basically. So you show up with the shiny pointy guitars, and that thing will stand its ground and just punch you right in the effing nose and make you bleed, go home and bitch to your mommy. That's what that guitar is. That is, maybe it looks a slightly old school, but that is metal AF. Okay, so we're gonna move right over. So you're gonna see that guitar right next to the Gibson Flying V. So if you have been watching my videos, my gear chat videos, a lot of times I play a lot of Arch Enemy riffs. And again, unapologetic Arch Enemy fan, Michael Ahmad, and whether it's a Chris Ahmad or whether it's Jeff Loomis, doesn't matter who the other guitar player is, the way they harmonize things, their melodic lines, and Angela Bassett, oh, not Angela Bassett, that's an actress. Angela Glasso? God, I forget the actual name. It's Gossau, right? So the OG, oh actually she's not OG either because there was a male vocalist before her. But anyhow, she held the positions for so long. You know, Angela with that, you know, F you, take no prisoner attitude singing on the stage, which now she has passed the baton on to Alyssa White Gluz, whatever her name is. Super great looking gal, hot I might say. Might have a little bit of a crush on her. So anyhow, you know, Arch Enemy, I'm a huge fan of that band. Just great songs all across the board. And Battle Axe Tyrant from Dean, that supposed to streets at about 450. I got it right around 380 maybe, 400, somewhere around there. Again, excellent guitar. Not perfect, but for the price you're paying, you're getting a lot of guitar with that. And that guitar, I don't have it in a case. I usually have it hanging in my home office with all that blood splotch and just the way it's hanging. Just look at it. Actually, I don't know if the camera is catching the whole body or not, but it literally looks like a freaking battle axe. I mean, it looks like I can hold it and go stand next to Thor and fight off Hela, you know, whatever it is. I mean, it looks like a freaking, it's definitely a weapon, the way it's shaped. Not the most comfortable thing if you're sitting down, but who plays a V sitting down? I mean, you could straddle it, I guess, in between the cutouts. But the pickups in there, the kind of a no-name in-house Dean pickup that's on the neck is so smooth and sweet. Great stuff. All right, so moving over from the Arch Enemy guitar, one right next to it is Dean. This is when Cory Boyo, I don't know how to forget his last name. He's the lead guitar player of the band Trivium, which again, I'm a huge fan of. So that's a CBV1122 signature model of Cory of Trivium when he and Matt were endorsed by Dean way back when. So this is before Cory moved on to Jackson. His stint with Dean did not last that long. Probably ended shortly after Dime passed away, right? So after that, Matt went with Gibson and Epiphone. Cory went with Jackson, which he now has his signature through that, which also looks awesome, which I don't have one, by the way. But that right there, it's extremely difficult to find. So it is a bit rare. And the red is just like really just dark, thick red. And it has a very V-shaped neck profile. Very special cutout. So Cory always has some kind of cutout on the V's so that it's kind of unique to him. And back when he had that, that's the cutout design that he had. And it's got, back then signature pickups of his mounted on the guitar. It's got the Floyd and even a slight cutout on the, you know, the V-shaped headstock. It's like the flip, the body gets flipped over and gets a little bit smaller and becomes a headstock. So that's also a great guitar. Surprisingly easy to play and, you know, good tone. And I got that from Guitar Center, I think like $520 or something. It's some stupid price. Made in Korea, great guitar. Can't go wrong with that. if you can find one and you happen to be a fan of Trivium and you're not down with the new Jackson ones that he's putting out, worthwhile holding on to, worthwhile getting, or you know, however you want to say it. All right, so before I go to the Explorers, let's take a look at the two guitars here. So this over here is one that I grab a lot and often. This is ESP LTD MH350 NT. All right, so M series and the Horizon, obviously, and 350 denotes the series, and NT is a neck through. And this was made in, where was it made? Might be, I think it's either the China factory or Indonesian factory. Body binding, huge belly cut right here, makes it very comfortable. Designated battery spot for your EMG active pickups. Now, I have a video where I actually I got out the EMGs and I replaced with the Seymour Duncan Blackouts with the EMG guts and internals, which if you're interested, definitely check that video out. But again, another great bang for buck on this guitar. This, I got it for what? Less than $500, but that ESP quality, build craftsmanship quality just screams on this thing. Super well put together, nothing to fall for. If this thing sells for $200 more, it would still be good value. You know, a lot of times I tell you guys how a certain guitar is slightly overpriced. I don't think that is true with this guitar. This is one of the better value proposition guitar. If you're a young musician, you're starting out, or you just want a beater that you can have out all the time, or even for gigging, solid put together. I bet you this thing, even if you like take it out on the tour, I bet you this will stand the test of time. It is that well put together, especially for the price. Okay, so throughout this video, I've been holding on to this guitar. Again, another you know, guitar that goes to show you, you don't have to spend a lot to get a good guitar. Another Dean Dave Mustaine signature over here, over here. You can tell I'm a big Dave Mustaine Megadeth fan. Well, actually, I'm a bit more of a Megadeth fan than a Dave Mustaine fan, so whatever that means. So this thing right here, it's got the basically the Explorer body shape. He has a different name for this, I forget. Angel of Death. This is sticker finish, and they just put the sticker down and they paint over with the gloss finish. So it's not. When I say sticker, it's like a photo transfer, but it is a very sharp looking guitar. Has just regular in-house Dean import pickups, but these sound actually pretty dang decent. I thought about ripping these out and putting live wires in, because I do have a set of live wires doing nothing right now, but you know, these sound good. And we are back, and I have cleared some of the guitars from the lower row, and I put out some Explorers that I own. And those of you who watch my videos, you probably know that I'm an Explorer whore, for lack of better terms. I love me some Explorers. Okay, so we'll go this direction again. So earlier you saw my Dean, what was it? Angel of Death, Dave Mustaine signature. And then here it's an Ibanez Destroyer DT520 with a maple cap, and just look at that guitar. So it has a little bit of a different design element than a straight up Explorer look, but I love the burst, and it may not be the Destroyer from yesteryear, but it's one of the modern ones. So as far as the collection value, probably not much, but I don't buy guitars for a collection. I don't buy guitars because they are expensive or anything. I buy guitars that I like. So some are going to be cheap, some are going to be from, you know, whatever. You know what I mean. Again, a great looking guitar, great sounding. I love it. It's very hard for me not to like an Explorer. That right there is something I have a story on. So a local guy years and years ago had that guitar out on sale for like $250 or $200 or whatever it was. This is an ESP LTD EXP 200. So the 200 denotes that it's on the lower end of the LTD scale. It is a bolt-on one, but this is pre-lawsuit. So Gibson sued ESP for making a guitar that looks just like an Explorer, and why wouldn't they? This thing looks just like it. But as you guys know, James Hetfield of Metallica, you know, plays ESP Explorers that are ESP version of it. Am I saying that right? Yeah. So it's the model that they made before they got sued, and it's got the EMG James Hetfield 81 and 60. So this was before the headset was made. So that's in there. I think I put that in actually. The guitar, I believe, originally came with the EMG passive stuff. So I made it, you know, Hetfieldified by putting the EMG active pickups in there. The other day, I was looking on eBay, and this guitar was listed there for $880. Now, do I think the seller is going to get $880 for it? I don't think he will, but you know, like I said, I bought it for $200 or $250, whatever it was, and even if it's $300 today, I did all right on the thing, right? But again, I'm not planning to sell it. It's a great guitar. You strap it on, you instantly channel James Hetfield. What a great guitar that is. Came with a beefy hard case too. Speaking of James Hetfield, then we move on to that guitar, the white one. Look at that thing. How sexy is that? That's the ESP LTD Snakebite James Hetfield, the signature guitar. So several years ago, I went to a NAMM show, and that's the year and the show where they announced that model of guitar by James Hetfield. I looked at it and I said, I will have one immediately. So I placed a pre-order, and I got it a couple months after. I did an unboxing of that guitar, which is still one of my most viewed video of all time on my channel. You want Hetfield vibe? There you go. So just great, and you know, with the unique lines. So it inspired by an Explorer shape, but it has its own unique design element that sets it apart. Originally came with 81 and 60. However, I stripped those out and I put a headset in. And then following year, they started to do it with a headset. So, you know, whatever. They have that in black, they have that in white. I decided to go with the white because so many of my guitars are black. So if you're a fan of Metallica and a fan of James, and you want one of his guitars to just channel that vibe, that's the one to go get. All right, so that takes us to the final guitar of this episode, which is this right here. This is Gibson Thunder Horse Dead Clock Brandon Small Signature Explorer with the silver burst, Gibson pickups, Grover tuners. I mean, does it get more metal than this? You tell me. So nowadays, I know they got the Explorer for like a Lizzie Hale, the white one with the gold stuff, and couple other Explorer models they do. But this here again was one of the ones where I think I saw it online when they announced it, and I was like, "Yep, I need to get that." So I got it, and at the time I actually had no idea who. I knew the Metalocalypse was some sort of an animated series, but I didn't know anything about, Sweegar, whatever the character's name is, and this is a guitar that he plays in the show, whatever. I didn't know any of it. Since then, I am acquainted, but as far as the guitar itself is concerned, this is a phenomenal guitar, you guys. Just well put together. This channels the original vibe of Explorer with all the metal element on top of it. So the next episode will be all the single cuts that have not been shown in the previous 2 episodes now. So I'm sure that's going to include a bunch of Les Pauls and what have you. maybe single cut guitars from non-Gibson maker. So those will show up on the next episode, and this has been another very lengthy episode, I think. So thank you. If you're still here, if you're still watching, thank you. I appreciate your time. Leave a comment below. I love talking about stuff with you guys. So before this video gets any longer, let's end it right here. I've been Triple G. You've been awesome. Be good humans. Until next time, take care.